Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am so excited for this video because we are going to be talking about the favorite, most special part of my makeup collection. If I lost all of my makeup for some tragic reason, these would be the products that would actually like rip my heart out. I'd be so sad to not own and like not be able to repurchase. So today we're talking about all of the collab eyeshadow palettes in my collection. Actually, I think I have two face palettes I went ahead and included as well, just since they are a palette. I have 2 stacks worth, but this is about as much as I can hold at one time so you guys can see. I have so many collab palettes and they are genuinely so special to me. They make me so happy. The color stories, the people, the inspiration, like they are just the most special products in my collection without a doubt. So I just thought it'd be really fun to go through and talk about each and every single one. I thought I would also swatch out some of my favorite shades and we could just have a good chill time. We're just gonna go through them and ooh and ah and swatch our little hearts out. Let's jump in. Let's just go ahead and start with the eyeshadow palettes that are on my eyes today. So the very first palette is the Tiny Marvels palette from Sydney Grace and Mel Thompson. This is a really special one because Mel is no longer with us and this was her creation and I love that it gets to live on. I believe that it is still available and a portion of the profits are going to Mel's family now. So if you are interested, I 100% recommend this palette for what it stands for and also for the quality because it is genuinely one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes ever. I reach for it time and time again. I bring it on vacations with me. Like it's just, if I could only have one palette, this has so much that I need. And it's funny because I remember getting a comment when I first reviewed this and someone was like, oh, like that palette's not even that special. And like, I'm just like sitting here now, like, yes, it is. Like I'm still absolutely genuinely obsessed. So here's what it looks like on the inside. I feel like this is the perfect mixture of I'm a neutral lover, but I also like color a little bit sometimes. And I love doing green looks with this palette specifically. I think that's my favorite just because this shade right here called Fire Butts is so beautiful. It's like the most stunning greeny silver metallic, just so wet and beautiful on the lids. And then I also just need to swatch Web because it's a really stunning highlight shade. It's what I have on my inner corner and it's just a go-to. I know it might not seem like that interesting of a shadow, but I promise it is. Let's do a little swatch right here. So pretty, like look at that metallic. And then I also used some colors from the Tropicolor palette from Sydney Grace and the Fancy Face to finish this look. I know it's a very neutral, soft look, but there's one color specifically in this palette. This one right here called Hellshire, which is so beautiful. I just had to throw it on my lid. And then I also used a ton of coconut because it is the best subtle highlighting shade for the brow bone for fair skin. It is phenomenal. Again, might not look like that interesting of a shadow, but it is perfection because it looks like a matte in the pan, but it has like the tiniest little bit of a shimmer and it's so beautiful. So like I said, this palette is from the Fancy Face. I love Tina. I was so excited to see her do this collaboration because I absolutely love Sydney Grace. I love their formulas. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch my favorite shades, which like I said are Hellshire, because look at this. It's just such a pretty like silvery, bronzy, metallic shade. It's the same type of formula from Sydney Grace that is so good. And then we've got Coconut, which please don't, like, let's not be judgmental about the fact that this is my favorite out of this palette. Like, you're probably like, what the hell is going on with you right now? All right, let's just swatch that right there. Do this one right here. It's just subtle and pretty. And then I figured we could just go ahead and like put people together. So I'm like, after we talk about this, we can just talk about Tina's other collaboration with Odin's Eye, which is the Hummingbird palette. I was really excited about this one because it is so colorful and bold. And I think that this little like trio was the first collaboration that Odin's Eye did, if I remember correctly. If you don't know this story, I'm not trying to brag at all. I'm just like really proud of Tina because I actually reached out to Odin's Eye personally because I have an email contact with them and I was like, hey, you guys should look into Tina. She's awesome. And lo and behold, they did eventually end up collabing. So that feels so cool. I just love to see my friends succeed and it is such a pretty palette, like gorgeous. No doubt about it, we're gonna swatch this shade right here called Fancy. It is a stunning, super creamy, iridescent multi-chrome, I would say. It has purple and pink and green, and it is just so pretty. Let's swatch this on the hand so maybe you guys can see the shift that's happening here. I'm so frustrated because I feel like my old setup, I like finally got it down to where you guys could see the multi-chrome shifts really well, and like now I need to like rethink my life because in this room with the way the lighting is, it's not doing me any favors. I think I've got like a little flow going to me now because in that collaboration, it was 3 different people. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the other collabs with Odin's Eye that happened at that same time. So we have the Red Dragon palette, which is the Odin's Eye and Judy collaboration. I'm actually not super familiar with her. I know I did subscribe to her channel after Odin's Eye collabed with her. Here is what it looks like. It is a stunning neutral palette. You've got some really gorgeous warm tones, some really stunning like little pops of green, and it's just so cute. I think that I have only swatched this palette. I don't think I've used it on my eyes, and I know that is absolutely shameful, and it's because I remember when I got the 3 palettes, I was like, oh, let me just focus on Tina's palette first, and I was gonna do a video with each one, and then I just ended up getting overwhelmed, and I never ended up filming with the other 2, and I feel really bad about it, but this is still an absolutely stunning palette. And if you guys would like to see me do looks with these, let me know because I'm down. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this shade right here called Solar Flare because it looks like a shade that I love in the Natasha Denona Gold palette, just like that super stunning bronzy duochrome. And Odin's Eyes has, oh, wow, I would swatch that and mess up my words at the same time because now I can't re-swatch it. Odin's Eye has such stunning shimmers. That's what I was trying to see, but no, that's what I was trying to say. What? I swear I'm just drinking a bubbly right now. That's it. And then the next collaboration in that trio was the Giant Wolves palette, and that was with Annette, and this color story is so beautiful. Again, I've only swatched it because I am a loser. I'm honestly a loser, okay. Like, look at this. Like, the purple, the green. This is definitely my favorite color story from Annette because there's another eyeshadow palette from her, which we'll talk about next, but this one just speaks to my heart and my soul. The green, the purple, like, let's just watch the shade right here, Eternal. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Another like iridescent multi-chrome. And this shade right here called Antipod is probably one of the creamiest grungy green shadows I've ever swatched in my life. Like, it just feels so soft to the touch. I don't even know how they did that, but like so good. So that was actually Annette's second collaboration. The first palette she ever came out with is the Serenity palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This one I'm extra glad to have in my collection because there was a very limited stock made, and I just absolutely fought for this on the website. I was like, there's no way I'm missing out on this palette. So here's what it looks like. Overall, I would describe this palette as kind of like a grungy rainbow palette. There's some like jewel tones and some fun undertones, but I think my favorite shades are probably this pink and this purple right here, especially together. I don't know, it's just giving like this girly, cutesy moment, and with this shade too. I don't love the formula of this blue as much because it's a little bit more on the chunky side, but let's swatch Metamorphosis. It's such a pretty periwinkle, like, come on. And the mattes from Menagerie are so good, so pigmented, so easy to blend, so pretty. Like, y'all, wait, that right there in itself is kind of cute. Okay, so at this point, I'm just kind of grabbing what's around me. Next, we have the Clionadh Cosmetics and Emily Violet Marie Dragon Fruit palette, and this one is so cute. The packaging is really unique. Like, out of everything, when I was looking at all the other collab palettes, I feel like this one stands out just because of the packaging, and it's just so bright, and it's just super cute. So here's what it looks like. It's another one that I was like, I absolutely need to have this palette. I was not on the website right when it launched, actually. I feel like I missed the launch by a little bit because there was something else I wanted to get. I think it was like a highlighter or something, but I still was able to get the palette, and it's super beautiful. Oh my God. I can't do this. Okay, I'm gonna say my favorite shade in this palette might be this one right here called Catechai, just because it is such a stunning, shiny chartreuse shade. And it's not like the most intense shimmer or anything like that. It's just like a sheen. But I feel like for being that like super bright green, there's just something about it. Like it's just, it gives me the feels, honestly. I love a chartreuse, and I feel like you don't see shimmery chartreuses as often, and that one is just like, it gives me summer in a shadow. Okay, next I have both of the collaborations between Lethal Cosmetics and Teresa is Dead. I love the names of these two palettes. I think it's so clever and so cute. So we have the Lethal is Dead palette, and then we have the Teresa is Lethal palette. So cute. Y'all, I'm having a little moment right now. I genuinely cannot remember which one of these palettes came first, but here is what they look like. I feel like they both kind of give similar vibes of like a pastel grungy moment. Like super, super cute. I've actually never used them together. I've never even looked at them together, which is ridiculous because like, why wouldn't I? But they're so cute together. Is this a video we need to see? Without a doubt, my favorite shade in this palette is TV Dinner. It is such a sparkly little silver moment, and I love a good cool tone sparkly moment, and it's just so pretty. And then Easy as well, these shades straight to VHS. I love a pastel yellow. I really, really do. I actually used this in the video I did with the Adept Cosmetics Heather Austin palette. Like, actually, I think that was my last video. So if you want to see a look with that, there it is. But look at how shiny that is. Okay, but this low-key is still a color story that's giving. This is one of the older collaboration palettes in my collection. This is the Paulina and Blush Tribe palette. I used this so much. I don't really wear super colorful makeup as much anymore, so I haven't reached for it in a long time, and it kind of feels like a collector piece at this point, but I still love it and it still brings me so much joy. So here is what it looks like. It is a green and pinky purple dream, just such a fun color story. It's easy again to tell you my favorite shade. It's gonna be this one right here called Friends, this chartreuse. I use this so much. There's a dip in it. I don't know if you can see. Like, who gets a dip in a neon green? Me, because it was so good. And Paulina, she doesn't make as much YouTube content these days, but I follow her on Instagram, and she just had a little baby boy, and I'm so happy for her. So exciting. So I don't know, I was thinking about that when I pulled this palette out too. It's so pretty. Another super old palette that I have here is the Dose of Colors Desi and Katie palette. I can't remember what this was called. I'm not sure. It was like the little quad, the little best friends quad. I can't say that any of these are like favorite shades. I don't even think that I used it more than maybe like 3 or 4 times, unfortunately. I feel like this is one of those things I bought because I was like, oh my gosh, it's a collaboration. But then I never reached for it. I mean, it still looks pretty. Let's go ahead and do Baddie Bean next, because I've got 3 different collaborations from her here, which is super exciting. So her first collab palette is the It's Freakin' Bats palette with Shroud Cosmetics. This palette was so hard to get your hands on, but I actually had a subscriber who purchased it, and she didn't love the palette, and she only used it a few times, and she let me purchase it from her, so I was able to get it and use it and love it, and I really do love it. It's so hard to choose what is my favorite shade from this, but I'm thinking Zero and Trappa probably. You know, that silvery green just, it does something to me. Like, look how stunning. And then a good grungy yellowy green. Like, come on. Look at that. And then she came out with a second palette with Shroud Cosmetics. This is the Halloween palette, which is such a cute pun. And I actually haven't used this one yet. I did receive it in PR, but it was right when I was moving. Like, it was the month after I moved. It just got put on the back burner, but if you guys are still interested in a video with this, just let me know. My son actually saw it and he thought it was so cute that it was Halloween themed. He recognized like what was happening right away. And then lastly, we have the Odin's Eye Planet Spirit palette that she also did most recently. And this one definitely is very different from the other two because it is super, super bright, super colorful. Out of this palette, this shade right here, Fauna, is definitely my favorite just because I love a good soft pink and it's shiny and it has a green shift and it's just, it's so, so cute. We'll put it right here. So pretty. I have a few collab palettes here from bigger YouTubers, which are still cool, but they don't like excite me as much as the smaller YouTubers do. So I have two palettes from ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. This is the Dream Street palette, which I've kind of held on to just because like nostalgia and whatnot, and I did really love it for a long time. And then the Zodiac palette I thought was kind of trash quality in comparison, but for some reason I just didn't declutter it because they kind of just like seem to go together and the packaging is so cute. I also have the e.l.f. and J. Kissa To The Rescue palette. I have not reached for this in a really, really long time, but I do remember enjoying it. But I feel like it's one of those things I definitely bought more for review than anything else. And then we have the Nikkie Tutorials and Beauty Bay palette, which I love the packaging of this. I think it's so, so cool still. Like the fact that there's like a regular mirror and then also a magnified mirror, like that was just A+ thinking. I also love just the way that this palette looks. I love the quality. Like I feel like the shimmers are stunning and so creamy, and I just feel like it's a really nice palette and it was super affordable. So I would say probably this shade right here. I'm like trying to like show you. It's kind of weird to hold up on camera. This pink right here called Pride, which is like a pink with like a soft blue kind of shift to it, is probably my favorite in the palette. Again, the pinky blue shades. Okay, you're gonna go right here. Like that is just stunning. And like the sparkle, the shimmer, the shine. I can't remember exactly how much the palette was, but I remember it being affordable, so yes. Or at least affordable to me. You know, it's all relative. Next we have the original Michaela and Glamlight palette, which feels more controversial than it used to be. Here is what it looks like. This was another one I bought a little bit more for review, and I really liked these rows the absolute most. Okay, I'm gonna swatch this shade right here called Sipping. I feel like that's my favorite. But also Nas right here. The quality of Glamlight shimmers are always so pretty. I feel like the mattes in this palette were like a little bit thinner and like not my favorite formula from Glamlight, but the shimmers are still stunning. Maybe like right here. Like look at that. So pretty. All right, next we have the two collaborations from Angelica Nyqvist. So the first one that she came out with is with Kaleidos. This is one of my favorite palettes ever of all time. I feel like I forced myself to stop using it and stop talking about it so much because I was just like a record on repeat. And I'm sure people who didn't have the palette were annoyed, but it's just so good. Like the quality, the color story, I just have reached for this palette again and again. And it doesn't matter what mood I'm in. If I want to do something cool, if I want to do something green, if I want to do something blue, purple, warm tone with like a little peachiness, like I feel like you can go so many different directions, but they all just look so, so beautiful out of this palette. It was made so well. And honestly, all of my favorite shades would be the chartreuse here, and then all of these deeper mattes are just so good, so rich, so beautiful. I'll just go ahead and swatch Queen of Blades, which is the green, still so smooth. And then let's do Cylon, which is the deep purple. Like they're just stunning. I also really love the shade Rockhopper and the shade Naru. Those like cool tone row right there. Those are go-tos, but I can't swatch everything as much as I would like to. And then next she came out with the Hella palette. I don't know what is wrong with me. Every single time before I film with this palette, I always go back to her video to hear her say the name of this. Is it Hela or Hella? I can never remember. I'm such a bad friend. But this palette is so cute as well. We've got a little green, pink color story happening here. And honestly, my favorite shade in here is probably this shade Soot, if I had to choose one. She just does such good mattes. Look at this deep purple, like, beautiful. We'll put her right here. Okay, next we have the Adept and Heather Austin palette, which, like I said, I just did a video on this because it's low in stock. It's not going to be available for much longer, unfortunately, but here's what it looks like. I love this palette. I love the shimmers in here. Honestly, I think my favorite one is 0603 because it's like this purpley taupey shimmer that just has so much shine and sparkle to it, and it's kind of grungy, and I just feel like that is a sexy shade. Like, you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, look at that. I just love it. Next we have the Odin's Eye Flora Story palette, which they did with Makeup Just for Fun. This has been my most recent obsession. I have just been absolutely loving this palette. Again, color story is so cute. I love the grungy greens and the purples. I actually mentioned this in my most recent favorites video because I've been reaching for it so much, but let's talk about the shade Misty. This green right here, like, just stunning. And then I've also really been loving Sage, which is a grungy, greeny matte, but it's kind of like this muted gray at the same time. It's such a cool shade. We're gonna put her right there. Like, those two together, match made in heaven. Next we have the Ofra and Samantha March Life's a Draft palette, and this one is just a mauvey little dream. Oops, I almost just popped that out of my hands. Here's what it looks like. So I've got some really pretty mauvey shadows and then also some face products. So this is the Dreamcatcher highlighter that Samantha came out with, and it's what I have on my cheeks today. It's super beautiful. It's just a really pretty highlight shade that works well for my skin tone. It's right there, like this pinky peachy moment. So I have two different collaborations from Midas Cosmetics. So we have the Dawn Face Palette, which was their collaboration with Neon MUA. And I just wanted to go ahead and mention this and give it some love. I don't believe that it's available anymore. I was creeping on the Midas website and they only have like very few things left and they're on like a super discount. But here's what it looks like. This is the blush that I'm wearing today. You guys know how I'm feeling about pink blush right now, so obviously I'm obsessed. I really love this palette. It was made for fair skin tones and it just was done really well. And then we also have the Served Soft palette, which Midas did with Cole MUA. And I wasn't familiar with him before this, but he has really beautiful work. And this palette is such a cute neutral color story. Like, I feel like it's just so aesthetically pleasing. I honestly have not reached for this palette as much as I should, but it is so cute. This shade right here called Sugar Rush, I really love. Like, you guys know, the soft pinks, especially on my inner corner, I don't know what it is about them. Okay. So right there, there's Sugar Rush. You can see it's kind of sparkly and cute. Okay, next we have the Sea Talk palette, which Odin's Eye did with Lauren May Beauty. I love the color story of this. I think it's so cute and special, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, there's something about it that just really speaks to me. We've got like this warm little neutral quad. We've got this like, what color am I trying to say? We've got this purpley blue quad, and then we have these two pops in the middle that just make everything more fun. However, my personal favorite shade is definitely Smoky Pearl right here. This is the most gorgeous neutral shade. Like, the first time I put it on my eyes, I was actually obsessed. I wanted to just cry a little bit. Like, it's stunning. Like, okay, look at that shade. Like, how can one shadow be so pretty? I don't know. All right, y'all, I feel like I've been talking for so long. Lastly, we have the Sydney Grace and Temptalia collaborations. I was so excited to purchase these because they are beautiful. They go together. Like, they're stunning. I do have a clear favorite, but I'm still happy that I own all three. So my favorite is the Quintessence palette. Oh, and I do own all of these in the light version because they're available in a light and a deep version. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to see where my favorite is. Okay, here's my favorite. I just feel like it's a smoky, fun palette. I love the cool tones. I love the pops of color in here. It speaks to my heart. I feel like my favorite shade in here is probably either Sirius Starlight or the Milky Way. Let's do the Milky Way because it has like something special to it. It's like this soft purple with like a little bit of a silveryness to it and then also some green, and it's sparkly. And I just feel like it's such a fun alternative where if you're doing like a really smoky, gray, blown out look, instead of going with silver, using this shade is so, so pretty. Put it right there. So cute. How many times can I say cute in one video? And then we have the On the Horizon palette, which this one is kind of like a soft jewel tone palette. It is really nice. I feel like I haven't given the other two as much love just because every time I was playing with these, I was just reaching for Quintessence over and over again. But I do really love this shade Earthbound. It's such a pretty soft green metallic. The shade Lunar Illumination is a beautiful pastel purple. Let's do that one. Like, look at her. We're gonna put her, actually we're just gonna go right here. Like, look at that. Just stunning. And it's the metallic formula from Cindy Grace, which is so good. No complaints. And then lastly, we have the Radiant Reflection palette. This is probably my least favorite for sure, just because it's a little bit more of like those jewel tones. And I don't know, I feel like there's nice things happening here, but these are shades that I just don't reach for as much. In fact, I'm wondering, I feel like some of these shadows I haven't even used. They're pretty. It's just, I don't know, there's something about this color story that's just kind of lacking for me. But I'm gonna go ahead and swatch Temptalia, this like soft pink right here, because it's super, super cute. I feel like individually this palette is speaking to me, but altogether not as much. We've also got Phosphinus, which is like this taupey shade. Those are both really cute. But honestly, like I feel like when collaborations are done like this, like it's okay to buy all of them, but I feel like they're more often done so that everyone has something that's close to what they like. And like I said, for me, Quintessence is the palette that is most similar to my own makeup style. Y'all, okay, we can fit one right here, right? We can fit two right here. There you go. All right, I don't know that I've ever had so many swatches on my arm at one time, but those are all of the collaboration palettes in my collection, at least from what I could remember. I'm pretty sure that's everything. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would love to know what your all-time favorite collab palette is. Please feel free to leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!